Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Insurance Journal's Academy of Insurance's weekly webinar after show. I'm your host, George, and joining me for the after show is today's instructor. Today's class is Avian Flu Challenges, Why It Matters to More Than Just the Farmer. Our instructor is Mr. Casey Roberts. Casey, welcome to the after show. It's great to have you here.
Thanks, George. And if I hope you took my advice, I'm going to have either a fried egg sandwich or a chicken pasta later on today.
Well, your class today had a lot of knowledge, both industry knowledge and personal, heartfelt sort of words to the wise, whether it was a warning or whether it was, an advisory. Like you said at the beginning, the bird flu issues should not prevent me from ordering chicken piccata. That is a daily threat during my weekend. Should I really not be worried about ordering chicken piccata, or?
Quite honest with you, George, my wife and I were going down to Arizona later on today, and we have reservations tomorrow night at a very nice Italian place that we like down there. And I'm pretty certain chicken piccata could end up on my plate, and there would be no fear at all.
Well, baci di tutti baci, the kiss of all kisses to you. Fantastic. I hope you have a great dinner. So, wow. Without getting too scientific, what makes bird flu? What can it just be called the flu and a different strain of flu, or why are we calling it bird flu? Just because of how it's transmitted from bird to bird, or so it's not just the flu; it's bird flu.
And you've captured it exactly. It's primarily because of how it's transmitted, right? And because of what we call the HPAI, the highly pathogenic avian flu, influenza, if you will, because of how, when you've got a 90 to 100% mortality rate in birds, you're going to get your own name, bottom line. And I don't mean to be flip about it, but that's what happens. I mean, it is primarily transmitted, as we know at this point in time, by wild birds who have become infected with it. And they seem to, sometimes there's a significant wild bird die-off because of it. Sometimes there's not. They just are passing it through. But because of how pathogenic it is, it gets its own name. Yeah.
Got it. You mentioned the low amount of cases among people. Is it something that people should worry more about, or are we just worried about what happens to our bird population? Like, is it something we should not worry about on one side and should really worry about on another side?
So unless I would phrase it this way, unless I am working in the dairy industry directly with cows, or unless I'm working in the bird industry, primarily say the poultry, it could be chickens, it could be turkeys, etc., ducks. Unless I'm working there, I tell you, there's so much more on the plate that we should worry about. Avian flu wouldn't even make page 50 of the list. Okay. And on each page of the list, I'd have at least 25 topics to worry about way ahead of the bird flu. So you just do the math. Okay. It's not. I may as well worry more about being struck by lightning.
Wow. Well, I'm worried about that for you.
Well,
where you live. All right.
I try to avoid thunderstorms at all costs.
Sounds good. Did you say in a slide there was a cow that caught this avian flu? Or is that demonstrated?
No,
okay.
That's true. Yeah. There has been exposure, and again, it's primarily from wild birds. Well, think about your dairy operations, where your dairy cows, they're going to be in the barn, okay? They're going to be getting milk in the milking parlor, but as if they're out in the open in pasture, wild birds, from their feces or from their saliva, etc., are going to be able to pass it, and it has. The good news is it has not mutated to anything that is very pathogenic to dairy cows. They may just have reduced milk production and feel a little fluish, if you will, right? Maybe you've ever had the flu, right? And you're not 100%. You don't feel really bad. You're not running necessarily a fever, but you just can't shake it. It's not good for a couple of days. That's kind of what happens primarily to most dairy cows, right? They just get fluish, if you will.
So is there a cow flu itself, or do cows just get the flu and not the cow flu or the bovine flu?
There is not a bovine. Well, there is a bovine flu, but at this point, it's just an avian flu that has been transmitted to the cows, and it's something that's a little newer for them, but it hasn't. Again, the major concerns, because it hasn't done anything bad yet, is what might it mutate to, right? And for that, you're going to have to talk to someone with a whole lot more degrees than I've got.
Could it mutate into a combination flu, like a bovavian flu, like a bird flu, cow flu that attacks both phenotypes at once?
Huh. So that means I would have to be concerned about veal piccata and chicken piccata on the same plate. I don't know. This would be something to think about.
Or veal piccata, chicken cacciatore, like veal chicken piccacciatore. I don't know, something. Just be concerned. But everyone basically out there, just be concerned about everything, and you'll last longer, right? Especially with Casey and Lightning.
I look at this, George. I'll be quite frank with you. I just look at everything that goes on in the world, and whether it be political, health-wise, whatever it is, and I just try and concern myself with the things that I can control. And there's so much I can't. I'm not going to let any of this stuff drive me crazy. But that's just me. That's how I choose to live my life.
So you, well, I'm glad, that's refreshing. And I was trying to figure out how to segue into this next thing without sounding political. But you had a couple of graphics. One was the states that have the most cases of bird flu, I believe, were Washington State and California. And you mentioned
that was bird flu that had gotten transmitted to humans. 70 total cases nationally.
Then you showed a graphic that had the top 10 egg producing states in the US, and those seem to be very far apart. So, and you also mentioned that one of the symptoms of bird flu were one of the diagnoses, I guess, was low egg production in birds.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the reasons some people are giving for high egg prices are, well, there's a bird flu, so there's less eggs. And would there not be? But that shouldn't matter, right? Because if a bird's got bird flu, then there's low egg production. So that really isn't a justifiable reason for egg prices without getting political.
Okay,
egg prices rising. Excuse me.
All right. So the thing I would revisit in my mind would be there's the HPAI, the highly pathogenic avian influenza, which is the one that is 90 to 100% fatal to the birds.
Sure.
Okay. And then there's the LPAI, the low pathogenic. That's the one that will not necessarily kill the birds, but will affect their behavior and will affect their egg production. So we've got two different things we're dealing with here. One where we have to cull the flock. We kill 166 million birds in the last 2 years or so, right? So you haven't replaced all those birds. You can't replace them all immediately. It does take time for the chick to get to hen egg laying size, if you will, status, if you will. Right. And then the other thing is that, well, you've got the LPAI, the low pathogenic, that again is going to reduce overall egg production. So you have both to kind of manage, one of which is a little more manageable than the other. I don't think there's some big shadowy conspiracy, if you will, to say, hey, let's drive up egg prices so we can, take advantage of the egg buying public. Okay. I don't look at it that way.
All right. Well, that's another thing too. You mentioned some of the side effects, and you did not mention aggressiveness in birds, but in the movie Birdemic, the birds, I guess, caught the bird flu, or I'm not sure what's happening, but it made them cartoonishly aggressive. So you're saying Birdemic is not rooted in science, that movie? By the great James White.
George, I think you're going to have to become a distributor for the film Birdemic, okay? Because I think not enough of our general population has experienced the film, and so may not even have a liking for what the area where you're going. But what the heck, it could be. I don't know. I've not seen the film either, though. I've only recently been exposed to it via you. So,
Oh, okay. I'll we'll figure it out. We'll figure out getting you a copy.
yeah, there you
Casey,
go.
When are we seeing you again this year? When are we going to see you again?
You know,
Should I
you
talk to
are,
Patrick?
you are. I think I've got two other opportunities this year that I've been asked to provide. Um, quite frank with you, George, without looking at my calendar, I don't know when they are, and I don't even know what the topics are.
Casey,
So
I love that answer. I just know that you're saying it's okay for us to eat chicken piccata. So I'm down with that.
I
And that you're
encourage eating chicken piccata, especially with an excellent Pinot.
well, you heard it here first. Casey, our class today was Avian Food Challenges, why it matters to more than just a farmer. There's so much information in the class. Everyone, check it out. If you're a member, it's going to be configured for on demand as early as tomorrow. If you're not a member, join the academy and check it out. It's really cool. And if you want to see a link to the class, I know a guy. Our
Yeah.
instructor for today is Mr. Casey Roberts. Casey, it's always great having you here. Thank you so much for your help. And we will talk to you next time, if not sooner.
George, thanks for having me. It's always, and I sincerely say this every time because I mean it, it's a privilege and an honor to work with you and the Academy. So thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
The honor's ours. On behalf of Casey Roberts, this is your host, George, saying thanks everyone for coming to the after show. We'll see you next time. Have a great day, everyone.
Bye, folks.